Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Yeah, I'm not dead. This is Mrdoctorwhofan13 here again, bringing you a video for the first time in excuse me, got a cold at the minute. Bringing you a video for the first time in bloody ages. Now, I know I didn't even give my thoughts on Doctor Who last Christmas. I haven't made a video in about since Darkwater Death in Heaven aired, I think. Actually, or was it my last Christmas special? Either way, Series 9 has now begun. And that means it's time for me to give my thoughts on new episodes again. Now, usually I wouldn't be giving my thoughts on The Magician's Apprentice, since it's one of a two-parter, until The Witcher's Familiar airs. However, reactions to The Magician's Apprentice seem to be spawning all over the internet at the minute, and I think it would be interesting to talk about a story while it's going on before having seen part 2. But first, let me explain why I didn't give my thoughts on Last Christmas when I first saw it, and I haven't seen it since it aired. I didn't want to give my thoughts on Last Christmas because I really didn't have much to say about it. It was just another crappy Christmas special. Just another crappy Christmas special. And the only good Christmas special I think we've had is A Christmas Invasion. I don't like The Time with the Doctor anymore. But yeah. I'm not quite as into Doctor Who as I used to be. I still like it, I still watch it, but not really when it's on. But yeah. But I'm still like a huge fan, I'm still passionate about it, and I had a few passionate moments when watching The Magician's Apprentice. But yeah, so I'm just going to summarise my thoughts on Last Christmas very briefly. I like Nick Frost as Santa Claus, I like Peter Capaldi, I like Jenna Coleman. That's it, the rest of the episode was crap. I don't know why people want Shona to come back as a companion. She was a horrible character, and if she comes back as a companion, she's probably going to be worse than Rose Tyler. She was a bitch. Right, now, as for Doctor Who, The Magician's Apprentice, a lot of people seem to really like this episode. I didn't really like it all that much. I didn't like it. I didn't hate it either, but I still thought it was pretty piss poor. If that makes sense. Now, okay, naturally this video is going to contain a lot of spoilers because really you cannot talk about this episode without spoiling it, because there is... Sorry, I'll put the phone on silent. Because there is a... Basically, the main plot of the episode is something no one was expecting. All we knew before this episode aired is that it was going to have Missy and the Daleks in it. And I refuse to call Missy the Master because she is not the Master. Right. Okay, so basically, the whole premise of this story is... It starts, obviously, with the hands and the eyes. Dragging soldiers into the ground, and this kid gets surrounded by them. The Doctor lands on the planet to rescue him, and he's like, "Tell me the name of the boy who isn't going to die today," to encourage him, you know, like the Doctor does. And the kid said his name is Davros. Now I'll admit I didn't see that coming, but right there, right friggin' there, I yelled at the TV screen. It's gonna be bad language here. Fuck you, Moffat! Fuck you! No joke, I yelled that at the TV screen because I was pissed off. Because it's Moffat, he's gonna butcher characters. He already butchered the Sontaras, he already butchered Missy. I mean, the Master. And... yeah, I was worried about what I was going to do with Davros. Then, of course, we have 40 minutes of setup which is crap setup, because what happens, Unit are only in it for like 5 minutes. Missy establishes to Clara that she's that the doctor has basically asked her for help because you know, we're doing the whole the doctor's gonna die thing again, and it's all been there, done that. It feels like Moffat is getting lazy at this point. Really, really lazy. So, anyway, in short, Missy and Clara find the doctor, and they go after him. Turns out he's in medieval times, which you would know if you watched the Doctor's meditation before this. And it's revealed that meditation is Time Lord's way of dying. And also, just that shot where Missy popped out the TV. No, that was horrible. That is like Son of the Mask bad. But yeah. So, anyway, they go back to medieval times and they find something that I thought was incredibly awesome, but also tonally awkward with the rest of the episode. I enjoyed this scene, but I didn't think it fit within the context of the episode. The Doctor playing the electric guitar on a tank. That was a friggin' awesome shot, especially in his sunglasses and everything. And the dialogue is really, really funny when he goes on to explain how he introduced the word dude several hundred years earlier, because you know that's typical Doctor. But at the same time, it didn't fit with the rest of the episode. It honestly just felt, ugh. However, the last 10 minutes were decent. Basically, in short, Davros' servant finds the Doctor and he takes them to he finds the Doctor, Clara and Missy, and he takes them to he's basically a snake. He's Nagini from Harry Potter, honestly. He calls Davros the Dark Lord, so he is Nagini. So he takes them to a mysterious space station, what seems to be a mysterious space station, takes the Doctor to see Davros, they have a conversation, and, you know, there are nice bits of fan service here and there, you know, whenever Davros' servant is like tracking down the Doctor via his friends, you know, we have Calm, we have the Shadow Proclamation from the Stolen Earth and Journey's End, and, you know, Jadoon, and, you know, Udon, Hath, and loads of stuff, but I just think it felt unnecessary. It's another classic example of Moffat trying to cover up his bad writing with fan service, and in this case it works, because a lot of people seem to hate this episode despite its terrible love this episode despite its terrible writing. However, a bit of good writing comes in the conversation between the Doctor and Davros, where they're talking about, you know, where's Norman going to die, and it turns out the planet they're on is Skaro, and, you know, it's kind of, although, I don't think, in a space station, the gravity is not that bad. As in a space station, the gravity is just fine. And Missy's all like, oh, you should be able to, no, not in a space station. But outside, yeah, that makes sense. So it turns out they're on Skaro, and I had a fangasm, because what immediately sets this episode above Asylum of the Daleks is the classic Daleks actually get used, and they are front and centre stage here. And I remember I was watching this with my friend. He was like, he pretended to choke. Honestly, it was that good. It's like, oh my god. Although it's kind of ruined when you go in and you see the Supreme Dalek from Stolen Earth and Journey's End. And yeah, I didn't like that story. But what I did like about the last 10 minutes is we got like flashbacks to Genesis of the Daleks and, you know, all the previous Davros stories. Although one thing that immediately pissed me off about this episode right out the gates, Genesis of the Daleks is no longer the first time Davros and the Doctor meet. What made Genesis so effective is that the Doctor and Davros had never seen each other before. They'd never seen each other before, and now Moffat is rubbing it in. Just when you thought his ego couldn't get any worse with the Day of the Doctor, Time of the Doctor, and Listen, he just shoves it in even further. He pushes down his imprint into Doctor Who history more, a little too much, by changing the way the Doctor and Davros meet. Fuck you, Moffat. Fuck you. Right. Okay. The cliffhanger was decent. Missy gets exterminated, Clara gets exterminated, even though her running away seemed a bit out of character, judging by how she stood up to Missy earlier on, which I really liked. And, you know, the Doctor gets sent away back in time to Davros, and that's a decent cliffhanger where he's aiming a Dalek death ray at him, and the next time trailer looks interesting, but it's Moffat, so it's probably gonna be shit. Okay, in short, I didn't hate The Magician's Apprentice. I hated things about it. Missy's dialogue, the stupid fan service, Moffat imprinting his finger down into Doctor Who history even further than it should go. But I did like the fan service that was given, especially to Classic Who and the classic Daleks actually being put front and centre. And the what was another positive about this episode? Just Peter Capaldi as always. Missy's a bit better here than she was in Dark Water, Death in Heaven, but I still don't like the sexual tension she's creating. If it was the Rani, that would be fine, but that is not the Master. And Davros, thankfully, wasn't ruined. I really liked how they how Davros was handled here. But, oh my god, there were things that pissed me off here. Now, I know a lot of people love this episode for some reason. Excuse me. And if you like it, that's fine. But I think that's mostly because you're blinded by fan service. But that's only my judgment. I'm not gonna, you know. Because, you know, I can see why people like this episode the same way I can see why people like The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. It's like just a load of references to past stories. But at the same time, I think it references classic and early New Who too much. Because I know the whole thing about Doctor Who is looking into the past while also setting up the future. But there's a fine line between... There's like a very fine line between doing it too much and doing it right. Now I've got to get off soon, so I've got to wrap this up quickly. And I just think this episode did this too much. If, you know, the last 10 minutes of this episode is what the rest of it should have been. Because it didn't feel like anything progressive was happening until those last 10 minutes. And does Missy need to be here? Really? Does she? Whatever. Anyway, guys, that's good enough now. Mr. Doctor Who Fan 13's saying word out. I don't have high hopes for Series 9. Well, I really hope it's good, but I don't have high expectations for it. And The Witcher's Familiar, going by The Magician's Apprentice, is probably going to be it's probably not going to be very good. However, we have got some good writers for this season. we've got Jamie Matheson, even though I'm worried about the girl who died because Stephen Moffat is writing that with Jamie Matheson. So, and I just think Jamie would be better off on his own. So yeah. Anyway, I've got to go now. This is Mr. Mrdoctorwhofan13's saying word out. I'll see you next week for The Witch's Familiar.